Hello to everyone tuning in. Just a quick start. It's a fun idea if you share where you're listening from. Thanks. Like and subscribe, and let's get comfortable and start the fun. I wake up to the sound of the alarm. Another long day ahead. The house is quiet. Too quiet. Sarah's not beside me. It's been like this for weeks now. Her slipping out of bed before dawn, leaving me to wonder where she goes. She says it's work, early meetings, late nights, but I know better. I've always been the kind of man who looks at the facts, not the words people throw at me. The coffee's cold by the time I sit down in the kitchen. I glance at the clock. 6:30 a.m. I've been up for 30 minutes, but I already feel exhausted. It's not the work that wears me down, not the hours on construction sites managing the crew. It's the quiet, the silence between me and Sarah. 12 years of marriage, and it feels like I'm living with a stranger. I try to push the thought away. Maybe I'm overthinking. She's been under pressure at work, and I've been focused on our finances, the house repairs. Life gets in the way of things. That's what I tell myself. But I can't shake the feeling that something's changed. I see it in the little things. Her phone always flipped over. The way she pulls away when I try to touch her. The distant look in her eyes when she thinks I'm not watching. There was a time when Sarah used to reach for me in the middle of the night, her body pressed against mine. Now there's a cold gap between us. I don't confront her. I could, but what would that accomplish? I've never been one for arguments, for scenes. It's not my nature. I deal with things differently. I solve problems, I fix what's broken, but this feels different, like something too shattered to put back together. I head out to work, but Sarah's on my mind the entire day. Even as I oversee the guys at the site, my focus keeps drifting. I've got this gnawing feeling, this pit in my stomach that won't go away. Maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe things aren't as bad as I think, but then again, maybe they're worse. The guys talk about their wives, their kids. I join in when I can, but it feels forced. My mind's elsewhere, back at home, wondering what Sarah's doing right now, who she's with. It's late when I get home, around 8. The house is dark except for the soft glow of the TV in the living room. Sarah's on the couch, legs tucked under her, staring at the screen. She barely looks at me when I walk in. No, how was your day? No, I missed you. Just silence. I sit down beside her, close but not too close. There's this invisible wall between us, and I don't know how to break it. I want to say something, ask her what's going on, but the words don't come. They're stuck in my throat, heavy and bitter. You're late, she says, her eyes still on the screen. Yeah, long day. My voice sounds hollow, even to me. I don't push for more, and neither does she. The silence stretches between us, thick and suffocating. I can feel it pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I want to reach out, to pull her back to me, but I can't. Something's changed, and I don't know how to fix it. Later that night, I lie awake, staring at the ceiling. Sarah's already asleep, or at least pretending to be. I hear the soft sound of her breathing, but it feels distant, like she's miles away. I don't touch her. I can't. There's a part of me that's scared that if I do, she'll pull away, and that'll be the end of it. The confirmation that I've lost her. I drift off eventually, but it's a restless sleep, full of half-formed dreams and dark thoughts I can't shake. The next morning, I find a brown envelope slipped under our front door. No name, no address, just my name scribbled across the front. I rip it open, my hands shaking. Egging. Inside, there's a single photograph. Sarah and another man, kissing. My stomach drops. I stare at the photo, my mind racing, my heart pounding. It's not just a suspicion anymore. It's real. She's cheating on me. I feel the heat rise in my chest, the burn of betrayal. It's like the world has shifted under my feet, and I'm struggling to keep my balance. I look at the photo again, my hands clenching into fists. The man's face is clear, smug, as if he knows he's won something. Something snaps inside me. This isn't over, not by a long shot. The moment I saw the photo, something inside me shifted. It wasn't just hurt, it was a white-hot burn that pulsed in my chest, spreading like wildfire. Sarah, my wife, the woman I gave 12 years of my life to, kissing another man. It wasn't a friendly goodbye or a light peck. It was full on, her body pressed against his, hands in his hair. I stared at it for minutes, trying to grasp the reality in front of me. I don't react, not outwardly. Sarah is in the kitchen making dinner, completely oblivious. I can hear the hum of the stove and the sound of a knife chopping vegetables. Normal sounds of domestic life. It should comfort me, but now it feels like a lie. All of it. I slip the photo back into the envelope and stash it in my toolbox in the garage. My hands are steady, my breathing controlled. I can't let her see what I know. Not yet. I eat dinner with her, nodding at her small talk about work. The whole time, my mind is elsewhere, thinking about the man in the picture. The details were clear. Him with that cocky grin, the easy way he held her. I need to know who he is. I can't act on raw emotion. That's how you get caught. I need to control this. The next few days are quiet. Sarah leaves for work early, comes home late, and doesn't seem to notice how distant I am. I keep my routine, but every moment I'm not working, I'm digging into the details. The bar in the background of the photo has a sign I recognize, a place downtown where Sarah said she met clients for drinks. I drive by, lingering outside, wondering if I'll catch a glimpse of him. It takes 2 nights of watching, but I see him, same guy from the picture. He's at the bar, laughing with a few buddies, no care in the world. The anger flares up again, but I don't move. Instead, I follow him when he leaves, keeping my distance. He drives to a small, tidy house on the east side of town. His car, a flashy sports model, stands out in the driveway. No signs of a wife, no kids' toys in the yard, just him. The next day, I start searching. His name is David Carter, works as a mid-level manager for a tech company. Single according to his social media, though he's posted enough flirty comments with women to make it clear he's not shy about playing the field. That smirk from the photo sits on almost every picture he posts. The more I see of him, the more I despise him. I learn his routines. He goes to that same bar every Wednesday and Friday, usually staying until close. On weekends, he hits the gym, picks up groceries, maybe a date or two. Everything about his life seems simple, easy. That's about to change. At home, I play the part of the oblivious husband. Sarah lies about late meetings and long work trips, and I nod, pretending to believe her. The disconnect between us grows wider, but I stay calm. If she notices my silence, she doesn't say anything. She's too wrapped up in her own deception. I start spending more time in the garage, pretending to work on projects, but really, I'm planning. I have ideas, things I could do to David. I could follow him one night, catch him off guard, or I could ruin him slowly, piece by piece, until he has nothing left. It's not enough just to beat him down. I need him to feel what I'm feeling, the slow, agonizing destruction of trust. One night, as I sit on the back porch, I hear Sarah's voice through the open window. She's in the living room on the phone. I recognize the tone she uses, soft, playful, the way she used to talk to me when we first met. I move closer, keeping myself out of sight. "Yeah, he has no idea," she says, laughing softly. "I told him I had another late meeting. He doesn't even ask anymore." Her laughter cuts through me, sharp and cold. She pauses. "No, your wife doesn't suspect either? Good. Let's keep it that way." My blood turns to ice. David isn't just cheating with Sarah. He's doing the same thing to his own wife. I feel the bile rise in my throat. This guy is wrecking more than one life, and Sarah is helping him do it. I step back into the shadows. My fists clench so tight I can feel my nails digging into my palms. It's not just about revenge anymore. I'm not just punishing David for what he's done to me. I'm going to make him pay for all of it, for every lie, every betrayal. He thinks he's untouchable, juggling 2 lives, 2 women without a care in the world. He's wrong. The next day, I sit at the computer and search for David's wife. It doesn't take long to find her. Her name is Lisa Carter, a pretty blonde with soft eyes and a kind smile. She has no idea what's going on. Her social media is full of family vacations, pictures of her and David at dinners, out with friends, all smiles. It makes me sick. I draft an anonymous email, nothing fancy, just enough to start unraveling David's life. I attach the photo of him and Sarah kissing outside the bar. I know it'll hurt her, but she deserves the truth. It's only fair she sees what kind of man her husband really is. I send it before I can second guess myself. The rest of the day, I'm on edge. Every time my phone buzzes, I wonder if it's Sarah, if David's wife has confronted him. But nothing happens. Not yet. I keep myself busy, finishing up work at the job site, keeping my mind off what I've set in motion. 2 days later, I overhear Sarah on the phone again. This time, her voice is different, anxious. I can't believe she found out. What did she say? A pause. She's threatening divorce? Oh my God, Cheetham. Do you think she knows about us? I can hear the panic in her voice. Good, let her feel it. I don't stay to listen to the rest. Instead, I drive by David's house that evening. His car is gone, and the place looks dark, empty. I wait for a while, but he doesn't show. When I check his social media later, there's nothing, no new posts, no pictures. It's like he's gone quiet. I wonder what kind of chaos is happening behind those doors. I imagine Lisa throwing his things out, screaming at him, breaking down in tears as she realizes her life was a lie. It's not enough, though. I want more. I want to see the damage up close, to see David fall apart in front of me. I want him to feel the same emptiness I felt when I opened that envelope and saw my wife with another man. It's not just about Sarah anymore. It's about breaking him, taking everything he has and leaving him with nothing. The next Friday, I drive to the bar, David's usual night. I park across the street, waiting, watching. Hours pass and then I see him. He's alone, walking out of the bar, his head down. No swagger this time, no cocky grin. He looks worn, tired, good. I follow him again, but this time I stay closer, close enough to see the slump of his shoulders, the way he wipes his face with his hand. He's unraveling, piece by piece, and I'm the one pulling the thread. I almost feel sorry for him. Almost. He stops at a red light, and I see him pull out his phone. His hand is shaking. He dials, and I know it's Sarah on the other end. I can see the way he relaxes a little, the brief flicker of relief. He still thinks he can salvage something, hold on to this affair like a lifeline. He doesn't know I'm about to cut it. I stay back, my hands tight on the steering wheel, heart pounding. The moment's coming, soon, and when it does, he'll never see it coming. I sit in the dark, staring at the glow of the computer screen. David Carter's life is open before me, his womb, his routine, his friends. Everything laid out like pieces on a board, waiting for me to make the first move. It's strange how easy it is to pull apart a life when you know where to look. He's a project now, a puzzle I'm dismantling piece by piece. I don't care about the consequences anymore. He ruined my life. Now I'm going to ruin his. I send the email to his wife. There's no hesitation as I attach the photo, Sarah and David wrapped around each other like animals. No message, just the image. It's enough. She'll see it, and her world will come crashing down just like mine did. I imagine her shock, the disbelief, the tears. She deserves the truth. The moment I hit send, I feel a cold satisfaction settle in my chest. This is just the beginning. The next few days are quiet, but I know the storm is coming. I see Sarah texting more often, her fingers flying over her phone. She doesn't know that I'm watching her every move. Her lies flow effortlessly, the same routine about work meetings and long hours. I play along, nodding, keeping my expression blank. It's almost amusing now, her thinking she's still in control. I drive past David's house that weekend. His wife's car isn't there and the place looks deserted. I wait in my car across the street watching. I want to see him come out, want to see the look on his face, the panic. But nothing happens. He's holed up inside, probably trying to figure out how to save his sorry ass. Good, let him squirm. On Monday morning, I get a notification from a new email account I created. I had sent an anonymous tip to David's employer, just enough to plant the seed of doubt. I implied he'd been caught embezzling company funds, attaching another photo of him at the bar with Sarah. Not incriminating, but suggestive enough. The email was sent directly to his boss. By midweek, I hear Sarah on the phone again, her voice tense. He's been suspended? What the hell? How did they find out? Her voice cracks, her calm facade slipping. She doesn't know how deep I'm in her life now, how I'm the one pulling the strings. I feel a surge of power. For the first time in weeks, I'm in control. I checked David's social media. His last post was 2 days ago, something vague about taking time off to regroup. He doesn't realize that the walls are closing in. I'm going to break him piece by piece, just like he did to me. Later that evening, I hear Sarah in the living room, pacing. This is all falling apart, David. I don't know what to do. No, you have to fix this. You said no one would find out. Her voice is shaking. I feel a twisted sense of satisfaction listening to her panic. Let her feel it, the helplessness, the fear that everything she's built is crumbling. That night, she crawls into bed with me, her body soft against mine. I don't react at first. It feels wrong knowing where she's been, knowing who she's really thinking about. But she presses closer, her breath warm on my neck. She whispers, I've missed you, Jack. Things have just been hard lately. You understand, right? The lie tastes bitter, but I go along with it. I need to keep her close, need her to believe that I'm still the clueless husband, too naive to see what's really happening. I turn to her, my hands sliding down her back. I kiss her, hard, and she responds, pulling me closer. There's a strange intensity between us, something raw and desperate. It's almost erotic. The tension between the betrayal and the need for control. I can feel her unraveling, her defenses slipping. I'm playing a role, but so is she, and neither of us knows when the act will end. The next morning, she's up before me, rushing out the door for work. I wait until she's gone before I make my next move. I send another email to David's employer, this time with more details. I hint at the possibility of insider trading, attaching a screenshot of a fake transaction report I created. It's enough to get him investigated further. I want him buried under suspicion, every corner of his life pulled apart until there's nothing left. By the end of the week, Sarah is falling apart. I overhear more frantic phone calls. David's wife has filed for divorce. His job is on the line, and Sarah's caught in the middle. She's afraid it'll come back to her, that someone will connect the dots between them. She has no idea that it's me pulling the strings. I start watching David's house more frequently. I see his wife come and go, her face pale, her eyes red from crying. She looks broken, and a small part of me feels guilty. But then I remember the photo, the way he had his hands on Sarah, the way she leaned into him, and the guilt fades. He deserves this. They both do. One night, I follow him from his house to a hotel. He's staying there now, too ashamed to go back home. I park in the lot and watch him through the lobby doors. He looks beaten down, tired, like a man who's losing everything. The satisfaction bubbles up again. I'm winning. But just when I think I've got the upper hand, something changes. A few days later, I notice a car outside my house that I don't recognize. A man inside sitting still, watching. My stomach knots. This isn't a coincidence. I know what's happening. David's figured out that someone is behind this. He's hired someone to find out who. I don't panic, not yet. I've planned for this, but it complicates things. I can't afford to make a mistake now. I step outside, pretending not to notice the car, and drive off. The man follows me at a distance, just close enough to let me know he's there. I feel the pressure building, but I force myself to stay calm. I spend the next few days checking everything, my phone, my accounts, any traces of the emails I sent. I've covered my tracks well, but this guy, whoever he is, won't stop until he finds something. I need to throw him off. I call in sick to work the following day, staying home to watch Sarah. She's acting normal, too normal. It feels like she's playing a part, just like I am. I start wondering if she's more involved than I thought, if she's part of David's plan to turn the tables on me. Paranoia creeps in, but I can't let it cloud my judgment. Later that night, I hear her talking on the phone again. She's whispering this time, and I catch only bits of the conversation. No, Jack doesn't know. I'm careful, don't worry. Yeah, we'll figure this out. She's planning something. I can feel it. The walls are closing in on both of us now, but I'm not backing down. This ends on my terms. I decide to confront David. It's time to stop hiding behind emails and whispers. He's torn apart his life and mine, and I want to see him face to face. I need to look him in the eye and make him understand what he's done. I wait for him outside the bar he used to frequent, knowing he'll show up eventually. It's Friday night, his old routine. Sure enough, just after midnight, he stumbles out of the bar alone. He's not the same man anymore. His clothes are rumpled, his face pale. He looks like a man who's been beaten down by life. I pull on the mask I brought, gripping the baseball bat tightly in my hand. The anger swells in my chest, boiling over. He's close now, fumbling with his keys as he walks to his car. I step out of the shadows and call out, "Hey, bastard, we need to talk." He freezes, turning slowly toward me. His eyes widen as he sees the bat, but he doesn't move. He's too stunned, too drunk, too defeated to even run. "Please," he starts, his voice trembling. "I don't know who you are, but..." I swing the bat hard, the metal connecting with his ribs. He crumples to the ground, gasping in pain. I don't stop. Another swing to his knee, the sickening crunch of bone breaking. He screams, but I'm past hearing. I can only feel the anger, the betrayal, all of it pouring out through every strike. I don't stop until he's a mess on the pavement, barely conscious, bleeding and broken. I look down at him, panting, my hands shaking. This is what he deserves. This is justice. But just as I'm about to walk away, I hear footsteps behind me. I turn, and there she is, Sarah. She's standing in the shadows, watching. Her face is unreadable, her eyes locked on me. She doesn't say a word. For a second, everything stops. Then she steps forward, slowly, her lips curving into a small smile. "I knew you were capable of this," she whispers. I stare at her, my mind spinning. What does she mean? How long has she known? Was this part of her plan all along? Suddenly, I'm not sure who the real enemy is anymore. Sarah's face glows in the dim light, her expression unreadable as she steps toward me, closer to David's battered body. My breath comes in short bursts, the adrenaline still surging through me, my knuckles white around the bat. The world around me feels muted, drowned out by the blood pounding in my ears. The streets are quiet, David groaning in pain on the pavement, and Sarah, she's smiling. "I knew you were capable of this," she says, her voice low, almost admiring. The words hit me harder than any blow I've delivered to David tonight. My mind stutters, trying to process. She's not horrified, she's not scared, she's calm, almost pleased, like this is exactly what she wanted all along. I take a step back, the bat hanging loosely by my side, my thoughts racing. "You knew?" I ask, my voice sounding hollow, distant. Her smile widens, and for a brief second, I see something flash in her eyes, something dark, something that makes my stomach twist. "I always knew you had it in you, Jack. The anger, the drive. You just needed a push." I glance down at David, his broken body barely moving, his groans fading into the background. This was supposed to be the moment of victory. I was supposed to feel satisfaction, but instead, I feel like I'm falling into a void, like everything I thought I knew is crumbling around me. Sarah steps closer, her hand brushing against my arm, and I flinch at the touch. "I didn't expect you to go this far, but I can't say I'm disappointed. In fact, it's kind of exciting." Exciting. My mind reels. She wanted this. She pushed me here. All this time, she's been pulling the strings. I drop the bat. It clatters against the pavement, the sound echoing in the empty street. "Why?" The question slips out before I can stop it. "Why did you do this?" Her smile falters for just a moment, And then she shrugs, casual, like we're talking about the weather. You were predictable, Jack. Boring, stuck in your routines. I needed more. And David, she glances at the man on the ground, his breath shallow. He was just an opportunity. But watching you unravel, watching you become this, that's been something else. The weight of her words crushes me. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a game. A twisted, sick game, and I've been the pawn. I loved you, I say, my voice tight, my chest aching with the truth of it. I would have done anything for you. She tilts her head, her eyes cold now, the warmth gone. And you did, Jack. You did exactly what I needed you to do. A sudden rage flares up inside me again, hotter than before, but this time it's not directed at David. It's her, Sarah, the woman I thought I knew, the woman I've been trying to save. But she's the one who pushed me into this nightmare. She wanted to break me. I step back, needing space, needing air. I can't look at her anymore. The reality is too much. This isn't the life I built. This isn't the woman I married. My mind scrambles for a way out, a way to make sense of it all, but it's like trying to hold on to smoke. Sarah watches me, her arms crossed, that same smirk on her face. What's the matter, Jack? Isn't this what you wanted? To be in control? To take back what's yours? My fists clench at my sides. I want to scream, to hit something, but it's like I'm paralyzed. I don't trust myself anymore. I don't know where the anger stops, and I begin. And she's always been in control, hasn't she? I should have left you, I say, the words bitter in my mouth. Her laugh is soft, mocking. But you didn't, and now look at you. You're free, Jack. Free of all those chains that kept you tied down. The husband. The good man. It's gone now, isn't it? I don't respond. I can't. My mind is a storm of confusion, betrayal, and a sickening realization that she's right. I'm not the man I was. I've crossed a line tonight, and there's no going back. I turn and walk away, leaving David bleeding on the street, leaving Sarah standing in the shadows. I don't look back. I can't. The days blur together after that night. I don't go home. I can't stand the sight of her. I spend my nights in a dingy motel on the outskirts of town, the kind of place where nobody asks questions. I tell myself I'm hiding, waiting for everything to blow over. But deep down, I know I'm running from the truth, from what I've become. I watch the news obsessively, waiting for a story about David, about the attack, about the police closing in. But there's nothing. It's like it never happened. I don't know if it's luck or Sarah pulling strings, but the silence only makes the dread grow. Every knock on the motel door makes my heart race. Every footstep outside my room sets me on edge. I avoid work. I avoid people. My phone buzzes with messages from Sarah, but I don't answer. I can't face her, not yet, maybe not ever. But even as I sit in that grimy motel room, a part of me knows I'm not done. I haven't gotten my closure. There's still unfinished business, and it's gnawing at me, pushing me toward a confrontation I don't want but know I need. It's late one night when I finally decide to go back. I don't know what I'm expecting, but I know I can't stay in that motel forever. I have to face her. I have to understand. When I walk through the front door, the house is quiet. Too quiet. Sarah's sitting on the couch, her legs curled under her, a glass of wine in her hand. She looks up when I enter, but there's no surprise on her face. She's been waiting for this. Jack, she says, her voice smooth, controlled. You came back. I don't answer. I stand there staring at her, the anger simmering just beneath the surface. There are so many things I want to say, so many questions I want to ask, but I don't even know where to start. She sets the glass down on the table and stands, walking toward me slowly. You've been thinking, haven't you? About everything, about us. I clench my jaw, my hands trembling at my sides. Why, Sarah? Why did you do this? She stops a few feet from me, her eyes locking onto mine, and for the first time I see something raw, something real beneath the surface. Because I was bored, Jack. I needed more. I needed you to be more. More? The word comes out as a snarl. You wanted this? You wanted me to become this? Her eyes don't waver. I wanted you to wake up, to see what you're capable of. I feel the floor shift beneath me. All this time, I've been fighting for something that was never there. She never loved me. Not the way I thought. This was always about control. About pushing me to the edge just to see what would happen. Look at you now, she continues, her voice soft, seductive. You're not the man you were before. You're stronger. You've let go of all those things that held you back. You've embraced the darkness. I shake my head, stepping back, the disgust rising in my throat. You're sick, Sarah. She smiles, a slow, chilling smile. Maybe, but so are you now. The words cut deep, and I know she's right. I'm not the man I was. I've crossed a line, and there's no going back. But I'm not hers, not anymore. I'm done, I say, the finality of the words settling over me. I'm done with you, with all of this. Her smile falters, just for a second, and I see a flicker of something. Fear, maybe, or loss. But she recovers quickly, her eyes hardening. You'll never be done with me, Jack. You think you can just walk away from this? From us? I don't think, I know. She steps closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. You'll never escape me. I'm in your head now. You'll never get rid of me, no matter how far you run. I swallow hard, the weight of her words pressing down on me. She's right. Even if I walk out of this house tonight, even if I leave her behind, she's in my head. She's in my blood. The damage is done. But I turn and walk out anyway, leaving her behind in the house that once felt like home. Now it feels like a prison, and I need to escape before it consumes me completely. I don't know how long I drive or where I'm going. The roads blur together, the night stretching on endlessly. I pull over eventually. The silence of the empty road wrapping around me like a shroud. I sit in the car, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror. I don't recognize the man staring back at me. This was supposed to be about revenge, about taking control of my life again. But now, looking into my own eyes, I wonder if I've lost more than I've gained. I wonder if there's anything left of the man I used to be. Sarah's voice echoes in my head, soft and mocking. You'll never escape me. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'll never be free of her, of what she's done. But for now, I keep driving, hoping that somewhere down this road, I'll find a way to be free, even if it means leaving behind the man I once was. The days after the attack feel like I'm living in a fog. I wake up each morning drenched in sweat, Sarah curled beside me, her body draped over mine as if nothing has changed. But everything has changed. I've beaten a man half to death, shattered his life the way he shattered mine. Yet there's no relief, no satisfaction. There's only this gnawing doubt that digs deeper every day. David is in the hospital. I check the local news obsessively, scouring every article for details. Nothing yet. No mention of his injuries, no report of the assault, but I know it's only a matter of time. I've seen the way Sarah looks at me now, that glint in her eyes, like she's proud of what I've done. I can't tell if she's manipulating me or if I'm still in control of any part of my life. I can't stop thinking about the night it happened, the look on her face as she watched me smash David into the ground. There wasn't a shred of fear, no guilt, just that strange admiration, like I'd finally become the man she wanted me to be. I pace around the house while she's at work, feeling trapped. My phone buzzes constantly, texts from Sarah asking if I'm okay, if I need anything. They're all too sweet, too perfect, and every time I read them, the knots in my stomach tighten. The paranoia sets in hard. I start seeing things that don't add up. Sarah's phone, once guarded like a fortress, now lies casually on the kitchen counter. She leaves her laptop open on the couch, her emails accessible. It's like she's daring me to dig, to find something. And I do. I scroll through her emails late one night, searching for anything that can explain what's happening between us. My hands tremble as I navigate through months of correspondence. Everything seems normal until I find the thread with David. The subject line reads, "Let's spice things up. I click, my heart pounding, as I read through the conversation. It's months old, dating back to before the affair even started. Sarah was the one who initiated everything. She suggested meeting him at that bar, teased the idea of an affair, talked about how it would add excitement to their lives. My chest tightens, bile rising in my throat as I realize she orchestrated the entire thing. All of it. Every lie, every manipulation, every piece of the puzzle was placed by her hands. I sit back, my mind spinning, trying to make sense of it. Was this her plan all along? To push me to the edge? To drive me into this rage, this violence? I feel like I'm drowning in the realization that I was never in control. I was just a pawn in her twisted game. When Sarah gets home that night, I'm waiting for her. She walks in smiling, acting as if nothing is wrong. "Hey," she says, dropping her keys on the counter. "You doing okay?" I don't answer. I just stare at her, my eyes boring into hers, trying to see through the mask she's been wearing. Her smile fades when she notices my expression. "What's wrong?" I hold up my phone, the email thread with David open on the screen. "This," I say, my voice low, barely controlled. "How long have you been planning this?" Sarah's face shifts, but she doesn't flinch. If anything, there's a flicker of amusement in her eyes. "You went through my emails?" "I went through everything," I spit out. "All those months, I thought you were cheating on me. But this was your idea. You pushed David into it. You pushed me into it." She doesn't deny it. She steps closer, her voice calm, like she's explaining something to a child. "You were stuck, Jack. We were stuck. I had to do something to wake you up, to make you see what you're capable of." "Capable of?" I laugh bitterly. "You turned me into a monster." Her eyes narrow, the amusement gone. "You were always a monster, Jack. I just gave you the push you needed." I can't breathe. My chest feels like it's caving in, the walls closing around me. "Why, Sarah, why did you do this?" She tilts her head, studying me like I'm a puzzle she's already solved. "Because I needed you to break. I needed you to see what's inside of you. That darkness, it's always been there. You've just been too afraid to let it out." The air between us feels electric, like a storm building, ready to break. I can feel the rage simmering beneath my skin, the same rage that drove me to beat David senseless, the same rage that she's been feeding for months. "You think this is what I wanted?" I ask, my voice trembling. "You think turning me into this thing makes me happy?" Sarah's lips curl into a cruel smile. "You don't get it, do you? You needed this. You needed to feel power, to feel in control. And now you do." I shake my head, backing away from her. "I'm done with this. I'm done with you." Her eyes flash with something. Fear, maybe. Or is it anger? "You think you can just walk away?" "I know I can." Sarah steps forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. "You'll never escape me, Jack. You can try, but I'm in you now. I've changed you. You'll never be free of me." I don't respond. I turn and walk out, slamming the door behind me, my heart racing. I don't know where I'm going, but I can't stay here, not anymore. The days have blurred together after that. I leave the house, find a cheap apartment on the other side of town, and try to pick up the pieces of my life. But nothing feels real. The world feels distant, like I'm living in a dream I can't wake up from. I avoid Sarah's calls, her texts. She doesn't stop reaching out, doesn't stop trying to pull me back in, but I ignore her. I need space. I need time to figure out what's left of me. But even in the silence of my new place, I feel her presence. Her words echo in my head, haunting me. "You'll never escape me." I wonder if she's right. I wonder if I'll ever be free of her. The police haven't come for me yet. No one's mentioned David's beating, and I can't help but wonder if Sarah's covering for me, keeping me out of trouble just so she can maintain her grip on me. It's a sick thought, but it feels true. One night, I sit alone in my apartment, Shragdy's staring at the bottle of whiskey in front of me. My phone buzzes again, a text from Sarah. I don't want to read it, but I do. "We could have had it all, Jack. You know that, right?" I slam the phone down, the rage bubbling up again. She's not done with me. She's still playing her games, still trying to pull me back in. I can't let her win. But as I sit there staring at my reflection in the darkened window, I realize something. She's already won. She's broken me, twisted me into something I don't recognize. The man I used to be is gone, replaced by this thing she's created. I down the whiskey in one long gulp, the burn doing nothing to numb the pain in my chest. I want to feel free, but I don't know how. I don't know if I'll ever be free of her. I grab my phone and type a response before I can stop myself. We're done, for good. I hit send and toss the phone across the room, feeling a strange sense of finality. But it's hollow. There's no peace in it, no relief, just the weight of everything I've lost. A week passes, then two. I go back to work, trying to fall into the routine of normal life, but everything feels off. My coworkers ask if I'm okay, and I lie, saying I just needed some time off. But I know they can sense it. Something's wrong. Something's broken inside me. One afternoon, I get a call from the hospital. It's David. He's awake. My heart races as I listen to the nurse's voice on the other end, telling me that he's been asking for me, that he wants to talk. I hang up without saying a word. I don't go to see him. I can't. Facing him would mean facing what I've done, facing the monster I've become. And I'm not ready for that. Maybe I never will be. Instead, I drive. I don't know where I'm going, but I need to move, to get away from the memories, the guilt, the regret. The road stretches out in front of me, endless and empty, just like the future I'm running toward. But no matter how far I drive, I know the truth. I'll never escape Sarah. She's in my head, in my blood, in every decision I make. I thought revenge would set me free, but all it did was chain me to her even more tightly. She was right. I'll never be free. As I pull off the highway and park at some nameless rest stop, I catch my reflection in the rearview mirror. The man staring back at me is a stranger, a ghost of who I used to be. I wonder if he'll ever come back. I wonder if I'll ever come back. But deep down, I know the answer. I'm lost. The moment I find the emails, my whole world shifts. I stare at the screen, my eyes moving over the lines of text again and again, unable to fully grasp the reality of what I'm seeing. Sarah, she didn't just cheat on me. She set it all up. The affair, the lies, the manipulation. It was her plan from the start. I scroll through the conversation between her and David. The first message, sent almost a year ago, reads like a joke at first. Want to spice things up? But as I go deeper, it becomes clear that this wasn't some casual flirtation. Sarah orchestrated everything. She laid the groundwork, encouraged David, made him feel safe, made me feel blind. She didn't fall into the affair. She built it. I feel sick. My hands are shaking, and I can hear my own breath, heavy and uneven, as I keep reading. Sarah guided David. She planted the idea of an affair, subtly at first, then more directly. In one message, she even hints at the possibility of me finding out. She calls it an experiment. An experiment. The word echoes in my head. That's all I've been to her. A subject. Something to manipulate, to test, to break. The affair, the months of lying, the emotional destruction. It was all just a game to her. I slammed the laptop shut, my pulse thundering in my ears. I feel like I'm going to explode, my chest tight, my vision narrowing. I want to destroy something. Everything. But instead, I just sit there, gripping the edge of the table, trying to control the rage burning inside me. I thought the affair was the worst of it. I thought the betrayal was about lust, weakness, some primal need she couldn't control. But this is cold, calculated cruelty. She used me, used David, and I'm not even sure she cares about either of us. She's been playing both sides, moving the pieces around like we're nothing but pawns in her twisted little game. When she comes home that evening, I'm sitting at the kitchen table, the laptop in front of me, the emails open. She walks in, her face lighting up with a smile that looks rehearsed, practiced. Hey, she says casually, dropping her keys on the counter. How was your day? I don't say anything. I just look at her, my eyes locked on hers, waiting for her to realize, waiting for the mask to slip. It doesn't take long. Her smile fades when she sees a look on my face, and then her eyes flick to the laptop. She knows. She knows I've seen everything. You've been busy, I say, my voice tight, barely holding back the storm brewing inside me. She takes a deep breath, her expression hardening. So you went through my emails? I did. Sarah stands there for a moment, her face unreadable. Then she shrugs as if it's nothing. I guess you know now. That's all you have to say? My voice rises, the anger boiling over. You planned this from the start. You set up the affair. You manipulated me. I gave you what you needed. She cuts in, her tone sharp, cold. You weren't happy, Jack. Neither of us were. I just helped you realize it. Realize it? I laughed bitterly, standing up from the table, the force of my emotions making me feel unsteady. You destroyed everything. You used me. You used David. And for what? Some sick game? Sarah steps closer, her eyes narrowing, her voice low and steady. You were stuck, Jack. We were stuck. You needed to break free, to see who you really are. And look at you now. You're stronger. You've let go of all that control you used to cling to. Isn't this what you wanted? What I wanted? My voice is trembling, my fists clenching. I wanted a marriage. I wanted trust. I wanted you. She shakes her head slowly, almost pityingly. You don't even know what you want, Jack. You're too afraid to admit it. You've always needed someone to push you, to guide you. That's what I've done. I've freed you. Freed me, I repeat, incredulous. You've turned me into someone I don't even recognize. Her gaze locks onto mine, unflinching. That's because you've been living a lie. Now you're finally awake. I stare at her, my chest tight, my mind racing. Every word out of her mouth is like a knife, twisting deeper into the wound she's already inflicted. But I see it now. I see through her. The calm, the manipulation, it's all an act, just like everything else. I'm done, I say quietly, but with a finality that leaves no room for argument. I'm done with you, with all of this. Sarah's lips curl into a smile, but there's no warmth in it, only cold calculation. You think you can just walk away from this? I know I can. She steps forward, her eyes gleaming with something dark. You'll never escape me, Jack. You can leave. You can try to start over, but I'm in your head now. I've changed you. You'll never be free. I don't respond. I don't need to. I grab my keys from the counter and walk out, leaving her standing in the kitchen, her words hanging in the air like a curse. In the days that follow, I try to rebuild some semblance of a life. I move into a small apartment on the edge of town, far from the house, far from Sarah. It's quiet, almost too quiet, but I need the space. I need to think. I need to figure out who I am now after everything. But even in the silence of my new life, I feel her presence. I hear her voice in my head, reminding me of the man I've become, the man she made me into. The man who beat another person half to death in a fit of rage. I tell myself it's over, that I've walked away. But I know better. She's right about one thing. I'll never be free of her. Not really. The damage is done, and no matter how far I run, I'll always carry the scars of what she's done to me. One night I'm sitting alone in the dark, a glass of whiskey in my hand, when my phone buzzes. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see her name on the screen. But I do. The message is simple, but it cuts deeper than any of her words ever have. You'll come back. You always do. I delete the message, toss the phone across the room and down the rest of the whiskey, the burn doing nothing to numb the pain. Weeks pass and I start to fall into a routine. Work, sleep, avoid people. It's not much of a life, but it's better than the alternative. Better than going back to her. One afternoon, I get a call from the hospital. It's about David. He's conscious now, recovering slowly. The nurse says he's been asking for me, wants to talk. I hang up without responding. I can't face him. I can't face what I've done. Seeing David would mean acknowledging the monster I've become, and I'm not ready for that. Maybe I never will be. Instead, I bury myself in work, trying to forget, trying to move on. But every night as I lie in bed, the same thoughts race through my mind. The violence, the betrayal, the lies. It's all still there, festering inside me. And Sarah, she's always there too. I can feel her, even from miles away. She's in my head, like a poison I can't shake. One night as I'm driving aimlessly through town, I find myself pulling up in front of the house. Our house. I haven't been back since I left, and just sitting here, staring at it, makes my chest tighten. I don't know why I'm here. Maybe I'm looking for closure. Maybe I'm looking for her, but I know I can't stay. I know I shouldn't even be here. So, but before I can drive away, the front door opens, and there she is. Sarah, standing in the doorway, illuminated by the porch light, watching me. I don't move. I just sit there, my hands gripping the steering wheel, my heart pounding in my chest. She doesn't say anything. She just stands there waiting. And for a brief moment, I consider going to her. I consider walking back into that house, back into the chaos, the manipulation, the pain. But then I remember the emails, the lies, the way she used me, twisted me, broke me, and I realize that if I go back now, I'll never escape. So I put the car in gear and drive away, leaving her standing there, alone. In the dark. As I drive, I catch a glimpse of myself in the rearview mirror. The man staring back at me is a stranger. His eyes are cold, his face hard, his expression empty. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know if I'll ever find my way back to the person I used to be. But one thing is clear, Sarah was right. I'll never escape her. She's in me now, a part of me that I can't cut out, no matter how hard I try. And as I drive through the empty streets, I wonder if this is what she wanted all along. Not just to break me, but to remake me, to mold me into something darker, something colder, something like her. I stand outside the house staring at the front door, the place where it all started. 12 years of marriage, of trust, of building something together. And now it feels like nothing. Just a hollow shell. I feel empty, numb, but not free. I walk toward the door, each step heavier than the last. My hand hovers over the doorknob for a second before I push it open. Sarah's inside. I know she's waiting. She always is. The house is quiet, too quiet. I half expect her to be sitting at the kitchen table, that same smug smile on her face, ready to deliver another line meant to cut deep. But the room is empty. The only sound is the ticking of the clock on the wall. She's in the living room. I know it before I even look. I feel her presence as if she's been expecting this moment, waiting for me to come crawling back. But I'm not here to crawl. She's sitting on the couch, a glass of wine in her hand, her legs crossed. She looks up as I enter, her expression unreadable. "You're back," she says, her voice smooth, controlled. It's not a question, it's a statement, as if she always knew I'd return. I stand in the doorway, my eyes locked on her. "We need to talk." Sarah sets the glass down on the coffee table and leans back, folding her arms across her chest. "Talk about what, Jack? About how you tried to run, but here you are? Or how you've finally realized you can't escape me?" I ignore her jab. I'm done playing her games. "I know everything," I say, my voice flat, cold. "The emails, the affair. You set it all up. You manipulated me, David, everyone." Her eyes narrow slightly, but she doesn't flinch. And I want to know why. She tilts her head, studying me, as if deciding whether to tell me the truth or keep spinning her web of lies. "Why, she repeats, her voice laced with amusement. "You still don't get it, do you? This was never about David. It was about you." "Me?" Sarah stands, walking toward me slowly, her heels clicking against the floor. "You were never the man I needed you to be. You were too soft, too predictable. I had to break you. I had to push you to see what you're really capable of." My jaw tightens, the anger rising again. "You did this to test me? To see how far you could push before I snapped?" She smiles, a wicked curve of her lips that sends a chill down my spine. And you did snap. You became exactly what I wanted. I shake my head, my hands balling into fists at my sides. You think you've won, don't you? That you've made me into some monster you can control. But you're wrong. I'm done with you. I'm done with all of this. Sarah steps closer, so close I can feel the heat of her body, her breath against my skin. You'll never be done with me, Jack, she whispers, her voice soft but menacing. You'll carry me with you wherever you go. I'm in your head. I've changed you. You can't undo that. I want to argue to tell her she's wrong, but deep down I know she's right. I've been carrying her with me since the moment I found out about the affair. She's wormed her way into my mind, into every decision I've made. Every step I've taken toward revenge has been a step deeper into the hell she created. But I can still leave. I can still walk away. I take a step back, putting distance between us. I don't care what you think. I'm leaving. For good. Sarah's eyes darken, but she doesn't stop me. She just watches as I turn and head for the door. As I reach the threshold, her voice follows me. You'll never escape me, Jack. You'll come back. You always do. I don't answer. I don't look back. I walk out the door, shutting it behind me, leaving Sarah standing in the house that once felt like home. I drive aimlessly for hours, not sure where I'm going, just needing to be away. From her, from the memories, from the man I've become. But no matter how far I go, I can't outrun it. I can't outrun her. Her voice echoes in my mind, taunting me, reminding me of what I've lost. The man I used to be, the life I thought I had, it's all gone. Replaced by this twisted version of myself, shaped by her manipulation, her cruelty. I pull over to the side of the road and sit there, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turn white. The rage is still there, simmering beneath the surface, but there's something else now. Something darker, a hollowness I can't shake. I wanted revenge. I wanted justice, but now all I feel is empty. I reach for my phone and stare at it, the screen blank waiting. I could call her. I could go back. It would be so easy. Just one phone call, one step back into the chaos. But I don't. I can't. I drop the phone onto the passenger's seat and lean back, closing my eyes. I need to let go. I need to find a way to be free of her, of the hate, of everything she's done to me. But how? I wake up the next morning in a cheap motel, the weight of everything pressing down on me like a suffocating blanket. The sun filters through the dirty curtains, casting a pale light across the room. I sit up, rubbing my eyes, trying to shake off the exhaustion that seeped into my bones. I'm free. Physically, at least. But mentally? Emotionally? I don't know. I stand in front of the bathroom mirror, staring at my reflection. The man looking back at me isn't the same man who started this journey. He's harder, colder, broken in ways that can't be fixed. Sarah did that to me. She destroyed me, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but the anger, the need for revenge. And now that I've gotten it, I realize it wasn't worth the cost. I splash water on my face, trying to clear my head, but the image in the mirror stays the same. A stranger, a man I barely recognize. I wanted revenge. I got it, but it didn't set me free. Nothing will. As I leave the motel and walk into the bright, glaring sunlight, I feel the weight of it all pressing down on me. I'm free, but the scars will never heal. Sarah will always be there, lurking in the corners of my mind, a reminder of the man I've become. And as I walk away, I know one thing for certain. I'll never truly escape her.